I'm going to critique this tiny apartment in New York City and use it as a case study to talk about the 10 principles of quality in a tiny space. How layout, colors, lighting, finishes, textures contribute to making a small space look pleasant and feel good. I'm Arvin Haddad. I'm the How to Buy a Mansion guy. Let's watch this Architectural Digest video together.
In New York, overcrowding has always been an issue in whatever form it takes. The apartments have been small. This building is a pre-war building from the 1930s. Pre-war, people were buying smaller spaces. But at the same time, being pre-war, spaces was cut up in a way which wasn't optimized, but I think we successfully hit that balance where it's comfortable. There are moments where slightly confined spaces can be fun. Good design really is aware that there are expansion and contraction of spaces. A sense of compression, I mean, Frank Lloyd Wright talked a lot about that. And if it's done right, it's a wonderful experience as humans occupying and moving through space and experiencing it. You only have so much to kind of work with spatially, and then there's a challenge to like unlock that real potential that I think is a great opportunity for an architect to revel in New York.
Okay, three things. First of all, I think architects and designers in mansions in the ultra luxury properties really take the spaces they have for granted and could learn a lot from architects who are designing much smaller space in big cities, in Europe, in New York, in Shanghai, all these big mega cities where space is extremely limited. These guys are killing it. They're coming up with very innovative ways of using light, space, storage to really push, like pound for pound, these apartments are punching way above their weight. And in the ultra high end, we waste so much space and we don't appreciate it as much as we should. Second, he talked about flank right compression. He mentioned that, okay? But it also comes with release. And I'm going to talk about that later in the video and show you guys that it doesn't really apply to this. But number three, did you spot the flaw? I give you guys 3 seconds. If you're not a subscriber, it's time to subscribe because I sometimes pause the frame and ask my subscribers to spot the flaw. It's a muscle you have to exercise, okay? 3, 2, 1. Okay, before I tell you guys, tomorrow I have my 5-day workshop, okay? This is where I go 10 principles of quality, what I'm going to talk about in this video, and show you guys how I reverse engineer goosebumps into equations of 10 principles, and you can use these principles to evaluate your own property and give it a score and have an objective view because your real estate agent's not going to tell you, your architect's not going to tell you, your contractor's not going to tell you. You're on your own. I'm going to teach you the alphabet and how to use that alphabet to apply it to your own property, okay? Link is in the description. It literally starts tomorrow. It's the last time I'm going to pitch it, okay, for a long time till I run the workshop again. Okay, the obvious flaw here is the hard dark floors in this unit. That's a super risky element to take. Look, they went with this slate pattern and it really works. This kind of purplish grayish color really works well with the walnut. I think they've got the palette right. But for a space of 400 square feet, they went with darker floors. It did two things. It made the space smaller and also it stopped them from showing those beams on the ceiling. I would have done the opposite. I would have gone with the lighter floors, and they had beautiful floors that you've seen in the video. They've had it in the past. They could have used those floors, refinished them on a lighter tone, and really brought those beams out to give character to the unit, because this living room they're sitting in is perhaps the least joyful space. The rest of the places is actually really cool. Check it out.
I'm Robert Garneau. I'm the architect for this renovation.
I am Tracy Underwood. I'm the shareholder in this building. Welcome to my 400 square foot apartment in New York. I came to New York in September of 2021 on a specific trip to look for an apartment. This one came on the market right as I was here. And when I came into the space, I kind of had that feeling like I had to live here.
Okay, do you see these like lighter floors? I would have totally kept those and tried to kind of play off that color. Maybe not that exact color, but also that color really would have gone with that purple slate tone really well. It would have actually complemented and would have allowed you to really bring out these beams and give character, that New York character, which I think the living room really lacks. Now, I've lived in small spaces. You don't know this, but I've actually lived in a 690 square foot apartment in Boston, in Back Bay. And I have a funny memory because one of my really wealthy uncle came and visited me. And he was first time coming to Boston. And he opened the door. He came in. He looked to the left. He looked to the right. He's like, let's get out of here. he was coming from like about a 12,000 square foot home. He just got really claustrophobic and he wanted to get the hell out as soon as possible. But small spaces can do that to you. If you decor them right, it does really light up the room and make it a lot more fun. And they've done a really good job. Check this out.
So thus began the journey of learning like what it's like to be a shareholder in a pre-war building, which is a co-op, which is very complex and wonderful because you have a lot of interface with the building management. And
there's not much joy into that. Okay, co-ops is some really weird thing that it's mostly done in East Coast. There's a couple buildings in LA I know that are co-ops, and I cannot recommend it to you. It's like owning a share in a company, and you basically it's like a marriage. It's like you go in, they interview you, the building has to accept you. It's literally a company. You're becoming a shareholder in a company. You don't really own the unit. You have the rights to use the unit in the company. I cannot recommend it. I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should stay away from these arrangements altogether. But sometimes you can't avoid it. And that's the case with her because she really fell in love with this unit.
Both the apartments that I lived in and renovated previous to this one are small apartments. We introduce oftentimes components that are moving. So the transformer has a sliding wall that divides and opens up the space. The pivot apartment has a central wall that pivots and creates a bedroom.
What? How cool was this? He just created a room. We never see this in the mansion ultra luxury world, right? Really cool. I mean, you might not use it in every mansion, but there might be a spot that you could use some elements of this. At least there are a few elements that I can teach you guys in this, which is a no-brainer. Doesn't matter how much of a square footage you have, you should get these right. And this is not one of them. These are like really for smaller, much smaller spaces, but clever. I really like it. I think it's super, super cool.
Both Robert and I kind of saw it was just sort of a raw space that hadn't really been touched or renovated in any way for quite some time. You walked in the bedroom space, which was not enclosed and had sort of a glass brick wall that was a partition. That was really the only kind of barrier. We worked together and really analyzing the space carefully and then figuring out how to grab space that wasn't being used very well.
But the beauty of space in these proportions of this apartment is it's small, but it's intimate. It's a relationship to us as human beings, which feels comfortable.
Okay, let's analyze the color palette because it's not wrong. It looks really good. It definitely goes, but it's not what I would have picked. The walnut color plays beautifully with the slate purple tone. It's a great combo, but it forced their hand into choosing darker floors because they didn't want to introduce another natural wood because they've already picked walnut to match with the slate. And that also forced their hand to not expose the beams. To me, this living room lacks character. I would have liked to done this color play with more furniture, maybe a coffee table, instead of massive amount of slate all throughout the room. I would have focused mostly on how small the space is and how I want to make sure it's always lit, right? This looks to me cool for a couple days, but day in, day out, I would have liked a lighter tone, but more character through wood beams and maybe accents that give character and warmth to it. Again, good palette, not a palette I would have chose for a small space like this.
The way it's laid out, I think, makes it feel more spacious. I love it, and I feel really comfortable here.
Like even the light fixture, it's boring. It's not really doing anything for me. It could be anywhere. I could be in Toronto. I could be in Stockholm. I could be in any other city. I'm not really getting the New York vibe from this room whatsoever.
This is the bathroom. We were able to capture more space for this room, which I was really excited about. We rearranged everything. The way this was laid out before was it had sort of a narrow hallway and then closets on either side. Robert pitched this design, which I loved, which was kind of tucking the shower on this side and then creating a nook for the toilet on this side.
This is a masterclass. First of all, I love this bathroom. I think they've done a fantastic job, but try to spot why it's good, okay? I'll give you a hint. Pay attention to lighting, pay attention to material, pay attention to this zigzag, this use of space between the bathroom and the spaces outside. So the kitchen is on one side and the entryway is on the other side. And the way these cavities of going in and out kind of is, I would say, Lego jigsaw that fits in together, like how do you put two bathrooms of two bedrooms next to each other with two indentations and knock them out, or two closet spaces. It's a really brilliant way of creating depth, character, and layout and flow and cabinetry in a very small space. Brilliant execution with beautiful lighting and finishes.
I wanted a feeling like you would be outside, so I wanted it to feel almost tropical in here, which I think ended up being represented with things like the terracotta in particular, which is something that vibes much more outside than I think inside.
We landed on the floor tile relatively quickly. There was a very clear intent that there's an earthen feel that feels great on your feet, a very natural feel. We also completely exposed the slab to get the maximum height because there are ducts and piping and other things happening above this. Lighting is extremely important in any space, but certainly in small spaces, they really help to draw the eye where you kind of want. It can trick you and psychologically kind of comfort you to think that the spaces are bigger. We really do respond emotionally to lighting, the color of light, but also the brightness of it and the location.
Okay, so lighting in a small space, even a big space, it's a science of its own. But what effectively you want to do in a small space is to create a tunnel effect. The light in the corners, when you take it to the side, first of all, showcases the depth, the distance, but it's also like hope, right? The light at the end of the tunnel. It's what makes the space cozy. It's a beautiful execution of lighting. I've not seen lighting this good in such a small space with such beautiful palette that works beautifully. It reminds me of Amazonica restaurant in London. It has that vibe and energy to it. Overall, one of my favorite bathrooms.
So we're going into the kitchen now, which is an extension of the living and dining space. Also has some cool transitional elements. We captured a little more space in this room from the hallway, but not a lot. We gave as much as we could to the bathroom. It's kind of playing off these notions of the silver and the gold and the mixed metal and the metal of the windows. It has a full gas top, oven, and dishwasher, which I kind of can't believe I have all those things. There's nothing here. This is the back of the shower, and this is this amazing pantry.
Did you hear that? Do you see that kind of a jigsaw play with the space? It does the same thing on the other side with the entryway. Brilliantly, it does that throughout the whole apartment and just maximizes the space and giving depth, more depth than you would think you would have, and makes spaces larger. And there's a play to it, right? There's a discovery and play to it that he mentioned earlier. Now, I think he overused it a little bit. Let's see if you can spot it.
Lots of storage. So much storage, I don't have anything in it, which is classic. And then a paneled refrigerator. And then it also has this kind of cool transition area that when tucked away is a wall, and then when you open it, it reveals a hidden space.
You reveal it when you need it or when you're using it, when you want to draw attention to it.
Okay, I think you always need it. I think they got a little bit carried away. See, when you close it, it just makes it look like a closet. As to when it's open, it really actually gives depth to your kitchen. And it's a decor piece at the same time. I mean, look at the way she's put her glasses and everything. To me, that if you organize it and buy the right pieces, it's part of the decor of the kitchen and character of the kitchen. So if I don't see it at any given time, you would actually desire that to be closed. So I think that's like an overplay of kind of you're neutering the kitchen. You're taking its character out just for the sake of exercising minimalism and discovery and play, when it's silly at that point.
I mean, even details like these shelves, I mean, they're chunky, but they're really picking up the line of this hood, which is an off-the-shelf component, and they're finishing the same kind of paint to try and, again, make things integrated and more seamless.
I love that this kitchen had a window too, to be able to have the light source coming in, to be able to open it and have extra ventilation.
Okay, so the counter is blocking the window, right? But look, I think a really nice way to kind of compensate for that and hide it would have been having some indoor plants there. Because another thing that I really think it lacks, this apartment, is indoor plants. If I was living in a small apartment, 100%, I would really lean heavily on indoor plants to bring life, especially in New York City, kind of that earth element to the unit. And I think that would have been a really good opportunity to have some planters right there to kind of grow and kind of light up the space.
We are in the living room now. The one thing we kind of knew as we were figuring out the cabinetry was that the television was going to go on this side. So that gave a little bit of a guideline for this side of the built-in.
The interesting thing about this part of the cabinet is it's one of the simplest, if not the simplest cabinet in the apartment.
Now pay attention. This is a both-sided cabinet. On the other side is the closet of the bedroom. And watch this kind of a jigsaw thing play out again, which is, again, very clever use of space.
It anchors the room on the one hand, you gravitate around it, but it anchors the space.
There's a lot of sort of signature metal in the space. The radiator has these incredible old hooks and then this great old dial, which is sort of wood and brass. When I got the apartment, they were rusted over. And then we stripped and took both of the radiators down to the original steel. In terms of restoration, is a good example of how we were trying to capture the historic nature of the apartment and celebrate it rather than covering it up.
Okay, I really salute them for that. And I really think maybe even the inspiration of the slate color came from the color of the heaters. But again, to me, that would have been a hint for the beams and indoor plants, right? To counterbalance that industrial look, I wanted to see more greenery in this unit, and I also wanted to see the beams, right? I think they would have played that three elements playing together would have been really cool. It would have, I think you could have still kept it that modern look, but giving it more life and character.
So I wanted to have a bar that could be exposed and also tucked away. So that was the inspiration for this design. So during the day when I'm here typically working, this space is closed and just looks like a cabinet. And when it gets to happy hour, it's fun to open these cabinets and turn on the light. And it's a very inviting way to have a drink and know that you're going to have people over.
See, this is a brilliant way of using it. Like, I completely agree. You don't need to show off the bar there, but the back of the kitchen would have made the apartment look larger too. This didn't. This would have just made it busy.
So we are in my bedroom, which is a very small, cozy space, but it's great. Feels a little bit like a perch because you have this great view out the window.
Where Tracy is now opening the door is a key element for the project, really, because that becomes the door to the bedroom. It unveils the second door, hides a closet, but also helps to create a diffuse layering of light because you've got the fluted glass from floor to ceiling there.
Did you guys see that? Isn't that brilliant? So cool. I love this. I think, again, solving these problems are so awesome.
The two custom doors in the apartment were inspired by a door that I saw in Prague, actually. We kind of started with that image and together built around that. The fluted glass was a thing for privacy, and then it was Robert's idea to do the brass trim in such a way that light casts on and off of it, so it even looks like there's lights inside of the porthole windows.
Brilliant. Really, really cool, right? Again, see, these little things that they've done with accents is good. It's just not quite, you had the 50 yard, like you didn't take it all the way home, right? Again, I think tiny little elements, like, again, exposed beam and one plant in each room could have, like, just been a slam dunk. I really do think so. And a lighter tone, right? They did really, really well, took it to the halfway line, and it needs just a little push to really wow someone when they walk in. It just doesn't have that wow. Like, it's clean, it's good. The bathroom is amazing. The kitchen is really good, but the living space is just disappointing.
And I love the fact that we've created essentially a little re-entry from the bedroom, which gives you the illusion the bedroom is actually as wide as it is to the door, but it also creates a buffer because ultimately the space is quite small. This monolith, it's got a lot of storage into it. It's 2 feet deep and allows for a full depth closet, shelving on this side, and then drawers around this niche. When you're lying in the bedroom, the room at first maybe feels this deep, but when you are looking into this additional 1.5 feet really gives you an illusion that the room is actually much bigger.
Okay, I hope he's not referring to this as compression and release, because to me, compression release, Frank Lloyd Wright, it would be like you enter a room that has a low ceiling and then it opens up, or you have a really large room and to one side you take a turn and it goes like low ceiling with a fireplace, or like a moody, library. Okay, so if he was referring as far as the compression and release in terms of just like release when you leave the apartment to New York City, I get it. Then you're only talking about the compression as far as this unit goes, because I don't see a release. Like, it's a pretty small space. I think that's just playing with depth and brilliantly using light to really make the space bigger, but it's not giving me this compression and release feeling. Okay. And I think that name, if you don't know what that means, it's a calculated element of walking through a resident or a person who lives there through an experience of like hugging them, right? And then with a space, and then letting them go, like letting fly out the bird, right? Release the bird off the tree, like that feeling through space.
New York is very specifically a place where you tend to not need as much space where you live, because your life outside of where you live is so expansive. There's so much going on. I have found in my experience here that once I get home, having something that's just like very small actually feels kind of wonderful and comfortable, because the day-to-day life experience in New York is so intense.
Okay, let me tell you guys everything I liked about this place and everything I didn't like about it, and what's the main lesson we can take from this unit. But before I do that, the 5-day workshop starts tomorrow on the VIP. You can actually, the 1 hour after I go the lecture, you can ask your questions about your layout, and I'll give you guys hints how to fix it. Okay, what's wrong with it? I will critique it, and I can help you guys answer your questions about what you're going through with your project. I think the biggest mistakes happen when you purchase a property, when you design a property, when you're building your dream home. If I could be a resource to you, I would love to do that. 5-day workshop, 100% money back guarantee. For both the regular admission and the VIP. So there's no reason. If you're not taking it, you basically think that you're going to come love it, and you don't want that for yourself, because I'm giving you 100% money back guarantee. So it's up to you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, what do I like about this place? I loved how the spaces interplayed with each other. The use of space, right? The efficiency of part of the bathroom plays into the kitchen, and the cabinet and the fridge is on the other side. The bar is on this side. The wall between the living room and the bedroom, brilliant. Just brilliant use of space, creating depth, making the space look bigger. I think by far the best part of the house was the bathroom, and the best part of the bathroom was lighting, but it also helped that they had used the most beautiful color palette of floors and tiles, and it was just kind of mystery, fun, really, really cool bathroom. The worst part was the living room. It seemed like when they had a lot of space, they didn't know what to do with it. I think the main lesson you can take from this video is what decisions you make at what points in the project. For example, I personally strongly believe, I'm speculating, but the decision of the walnut and the cabinetry color happened very early in the project. And that dictated the floors and the beams above. As to if you would have taken a different direction right off the bat with the steel windows, the heaters, and then taking out, let's say, a green, and off green would really play off with that metal look, and also you expose the beam and you use that as the base of your color palette, you would have had a lighter unit, and you could have still done all the jigsaw puzzle things you solved. You could have, those were all the brilliant parts of it. And sometimes when you can do something doesn't mean you should. This whole hide and seek, let's hide this, let's not hide that, when it's blocking the depth of your kitchen, and it's giving a design element as a backdrop to your kitchen that will make it look really nice, there's no point of hiding it and showing the cabinets there, because it's just you're gonna have it always open. So overplaying it is not always ideal. Now, if you want to see Lenny Kravitz's case study, It's an apartment in Paris, totally different subject. I think you will fall in love with it. It's very good, important lessons you can learn from it. And 5-day workshop, link is in the description, starts tomorrow, 100% money back guarantee, eliminating buyer's remorse in real estate. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the comments. Take care.